have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast with three of the Four Dead Losers. I'm Ramito.
Adam. Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about viewer request, Candyman 1992. Adam, non-spoiler thoughts. This was your birth year. What did you think of the movie?
I think it still holds up. There's a few, obviously, special effect things that are a little cheesy, but for early 90s, knowing that this was also kind of a turning point where some of the larger franchises were kind of hitting their downward spiral, like the
Halloween.
the 80s, like the 80s movies, like obviously they kept the franchises probably going way longer and they were declining. For this to be like a big standout in the 90s, I think was really good. I think that still holds up today. I think there's just the themes and everything within the movie still even holds up to this day, I think you could say. And I honestly believe that this is still like a highly rated 90s horror movie. Just horror movie in general, but especially for the 90s, I think this one stands out as being one of the easily top 5 horror movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
Non-spoiler thoughts, I would say, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I can't praise it enough. My score probably would be a solid 9 out of 10. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Jordan, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think of the movie?
I'm going to yap for a little bit. So. The score was really great. By Philip Glass, who apparently is really influential. Great score. I think the movie has a lot of really good, memorable moments, and scenes, shots, etc. I do agree with Adam in that there are some questionable sound design choices and jump scare things that are very much a product of the 90s. It was fitting into the time. Some interesting things is that they use real hypnotism for some of the scenes with the lead actress, and then for a lot of the filming they had actual. This is a term they use, gang members. They made an actual agreement in order to film in some of the locations and stuff, so that was interesting. I think, overall, a pretty enjoyable movie. Has, modern goth stuff going on. I would argue it's more of, it's slasher/fantasy. I would argue it's more, psychological.
Yeah, it's, psychological.
But I do think it's worth watching at least once. I would say it's not a perfect movie, and I don't think it's my place to call it a classic or not. I think that's already decided in terms of the horror fandom in general. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic of an 80, audience of a 65, which I think is fair. I would probably keep it in that range. And I think this also is a good time to just talk about how movies in general I don't think have to be perfect or even amazing in order to be memorable, so to say, or to be a cult classic. It doesn't have to be a perfect movie. And I think that goes for a lot of different mediums of art, and I think that this is a perfect example of that. I think the aura, for lack of a better word, and the context surrounding this film, I think increases the score and makes it I guess more important than it is just on paper, so to say. But yeah, overall I would say probably an 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10.
This is the first time you've seen it, right?
This is the first time I've seen it, so I don't know upon rewatch if I would like it more or less.
So not spoiler thoughts for myself. I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was really good. So to give you all some context, Joyce and I currently have a 6-month-old downstairs. And so I had to basically watch this movie into 3 separate segments, right? And breaking the movie up into 3 separate segments didn't hinder my enjoyment of the film. I thought it was really good. The pacing I thought was fine. We'll get into it a little bit later, but the movie runs about an hour 40 minutes or something like that, but we don't see Homeboy until
45 minutes exactly. Yeah, I said, as soon as we were watching it, I'm pause it. And we paused it. I'm it took 45 minutes for him to actually appear, which I thought you might thought of this as a really too slow a pace to start, but I think a lot of the stuff leading up to that point is needed, and it kind of helps with the story.
This might be unpopular to say, and I don't want to say it's exactly the moment he comes in, but funny enough, I feel like I don't want to say I know so much happens in the back half, but I almost feel like the first half is better than the back half. Like leading up to probably 30-40 minutes in, I was thinking like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be a 10 out of 10 movie for me, and then I guess when he shows up is when we get like some of the cheesier stuff that kind of takes away from me. But yeah, honestly, I didn't even realize. Like, I paused it also, but I feel like it flew by. I feel like the pacing was good. I feel like it's one of the rare movies where, like, the main character actually has some kind of, like, world building and important, like...
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those... How do I say? I guess not to get into spoilers, but I guess actually give your score first, and then I guess we can decide.
So, I thought it was really good. I don't really have much else to add to it, other than I thought the acting was really good, especially from the two main characters. I know R.I.P. Our boy Tony Todd. I know he didn't have like a whole. I think his screen time total has to be like 5 minutes max.
Pretty sure,
right?
Yeah, somewhere in like the 5 to 10 minute range.
It's pretty small.
But like I thought he did really good. The main actress, I'm forgetting her name. But I thought she did pretty good too. But
I think Stacy was the only one that I was like,
that's the college student. Yeah. But other than that, my score would probably be like a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was good. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get to the spoiler section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. We really appreciate it. But until then, this is gonna be your spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ba-bam.
Okay. So, like, I guess going back to what we were talking about. So, yeah, I think this is one of those 90s films, because this isn't the first time we've seen this, too. I can't remember what came first, but, like, the same thing was said about Beetlejuice, right? Like, Beetlejuice, if you go back, he was only in the movie for 5 to 10 minutes, but, like, all the stuff built around him and through, like, the lore and all the other stuff helps still make that a memorable character. And I think Tony Todd did a really good job of, like, really emulating like that evil entity, if you will, for this movie, and like the way that they incorporate that in the story is kind of cool. I didn't realize this actually was from a book by Clive Baker. That isn't like a Candyman book. It's like, I think it's a mixture of Bloody Mary and then Hook or whatever from Clive Baker's book, and then smashed it together to make this movie, which I thought was really interesting.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. So Clive Baker, for those of y'all who aren't familiar, he's the one who wrote The Hellbound Heart, which then got adapted into Hellraiser. Yeah, he had a really big role in the first movie, I know for sure. I think the second movie he had a really big role in, and then after that...
It just kind of just like how most series do.
Right.
Yeah. I had read that in the first version of the script, it was like... I just think it's kind of funny that the original idea was like, oh, you have to say his name 13 times. I said, right, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, I do think this is because, like, if you want to view Candyman as a slasher, because he has dialogue, I do think that him being in it less makes the dialogue more impactful instead of him like. It keeps him as like this mysterious figure that you're just waiting to show up.
You know what? And that makes a lot of sense too, because I think I either wrote it down or I was thinking about it, but like Tony Todd drops a lot of like Pinhead-esque lines while he's talking.
He drops a lot of good bombs in there. I think what's also cool too is and we'll talk about it as we go more into the like actual like scenes and stuff, but there is a large part of it that for almost the entire movie plays up the idea of like, is this all in her head, which lends into the psychological thriller, because realistically we don't really see him interact with other people until really late into the movie other than her. You know, obviously we see that he's done things, but in the sense that everything's off screen and we only see the aftermath, which I will say, even for the 90s, it's pretty gruesome, man. There was like a lot of blood and gore and
full heads chopped.
And how they play up into it, like we'll talk about it with the scenes, but I mean, it's just a really good performance. I think was all.
And the sound design, Tony Todd specifically,
the voice,
it's great. It's great.
So the movie opens up, and we have a shot of swarming bees over the skyline of Chicago, right? And then we have basically Candyman saying, dropping these heavy hitters, which I wish I would have wrote down, but I didn't. Do you remember anything that he said?
All right, so in the intro, it starts with Tony Todd, and it's over a swarm of bees. So like it's zooming in on like just a massive amount of bees just all on top of each other. And the quote that he says in his that's what we start with is his voice, like setting the tone for like this big bad, which I don't think happens in any horror film up to this point where the antagonist starts the movie where they're like speaking their truth. But his line is, "They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for if not for shedding? With my hook for a hand, I'll split you from groin to your gullet. I came for you." And that's where it ends. I was like, what? Yeah. And back in like when I watched this again, some of this is nostalgic for me. Like, again, blockbuster days. I was born in 1992, so when I saw this movie, it had already been out for a while, and people already like talked about it, hyped it up. But then like seeing it at such a young age, like, man, that's like really like scary line. I'm like, and his voice with how deep it is, and they like have like that almost like dark reverb on it too. I don't know. It's like really, really cool.
Yeah. And then we jump to someone basically saying an urban legend or a story about like one of Candyman's victims. Basically saying that some person was babysitting for a family, and she was cheating on her boyfriend with someone named Billy, I think.
Yeah.
Who's Ted Raimi.
Ted Raimi. And they're supposed to be teenagers, and they all look like they're 30. Especially Ted Raimi.
And so they basically, start getting into a little hanky-panky. And then they end up in the restroom where I think the girl asks him, "Have you ever played Candyman or seen Candyman or whatever?" And so they start to play in my notes I put it as the Candyman game, where you have to say his name 5 times, turn off the lights.
You don't turn off the lights, I don't think.
We'll
do that to make it scary.
Yeah.
To make it scary. Say his name 5 times, and then he appears behind you. And so then they start, and then after the 4th one, Ted Raimi is like, "No, I don't want to do it, whatever." So then he goes downstairs, and then while he's downstairs, she's going to freshen up in the restroom. And while she's in there, she says the Candyman the 5th time, to where we hear her scream, and then
we get a real quick view of Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So actually, it does appear in the beginning of the
This
movie.
is the only time we see him.
Yeah, it's like a quick, little...
With the little sound effect.
Yeah.
That they decide to make loud as hell every time.
Ted runs upstairs, opens the door, and sees...
This is a special effect, too, right? Where the blood is, falling from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I was like, what the... Did he, poke the
floor?
The floor, too? How thin is this floor?
It's the 90s, bro.
That's true. Runs upstairs and sees the body. She's all mutilated. Then it turns out that we are at some university, and they're doing a project over, different killers, or I guess over Candyman specifically. And the voice that we heard narrating this story is one of the people that they're interviewing for this project. Mm-hmm. And the person who's interviewing her, I think her name is is this Bernadette, or is this Helen?
This is, I think
it's Bernadette.
Bernadette.
No, it's Helen, because Bernadette's interviewing the other person.
Oh, the boy.
The boy, yeah.
So then that scene kind of comes to the close. Then we end up in a lecture hall.
And did you mention... So I guess one point to mention is that while she's interviewing her, Bernadette's at the end of that interview is another one, but the difference is that they're trying to hear the story from different people's perspective without prodding. And so in the girls' version, that's how it happened, the opening scene, plus, which I think, I can't remember if you said that the baby also was...
Oh, you're right.
Was hurt. Well, then it cuts to the guy. The guy is just kind of like, well, I heard that it was actually the babysitter that did it, and blah, 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 blah. So they're already getting conflicting, stories and information. Right. So we're understanding the idea that, their viewpoint of it is that, they think that this is all just, an urban legend, and it's because it changes so frequently, there's never any truth to it, because you can never get the real information, because it just changes from person to person, and even just within those two people it does.
Mm-hmm. And then that's the really key thing for this entire movie, right, is urban legend.
Yeah, urban legend.
And so then we cut to a lecture hall where Trevor, we're going to meet him a little bit, is giving a lecture over urban legends.
Yes.
And he says how they're basically modern day folklore. So where before, before written language, people would pass down their traditions through oral means. That urban legends kind of are the substitute for that.
And then his use of it was the alligators and the sewers myth,
Yes.
which I've heard that too, right? Like because people flush down their we didn't have alligators, I guess, where we live, but like they flush down unwanted things, and eventually there's like a giant sewer full of these creatures or whatever.
Rest in Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. So the lecture comes to an end, and there's a group of students that basically stays behind, and one of them is giving like lovey-dovey eyes to Trevor, and her name's going to be Stacy.
Like a foot away from his face.
Like a foot away from his face, and she comes into play later. She's more of a minor character, but she's
probably the
relatively
minor,
important.
actually.
Yeah, well, maybe.
No, they're in college.
Oh, okay.
She's 18. She's 18.
Where then Helen goes down, the lecture hall, and her and Trevor are married. And so she's basically saying, like, hey, you said you weren't going to give the lecture over urban legends. Like, that's going to mess up my data. And he's like, well, tough shit. It's on the curriculum.
Yeah.
This is the first, interaction we see between them. And I feel like becomes clear very quickly that he's kind of over this shit.
Right.
Pre everything that happens after this, he's already not really having it with her. So.
Right. And then we cut to, the next scene. And Helen is in a classroom, and the janitor comes in to clean the room, and I think Helen's on the computer and she's looking up like Candyman, or she's
listening to a tape or something.
Or she's transcribing notes, something like that. And then the custodian's like, oh, you know about Candyman, or you want to know about him, and that the custodian's friend has a story about Candyman.
I know when she said a friend, I didn't realize she was talking about the other custodian. She goes in the hallway and calls her.
Exactly. So then the other custodian comes into the room and says her story, or what she knows about Candyman or whatever. And hers is that she knew, or she had a friend, or a friend had a friend named Ruthie, I think, who had an apartment in, the lower income area.
Cabrini Green, I think is what it's called.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. In the lower, what was it called?
Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Green, yes.
It's
like a housing project.
Yeah. And that she was basically offed by Candyman. And that a really big thing about this, or that I thought was like more of the commentary about what's going on in the background, is that it was either Ruthie or the neighbor, but one of the two of them kept calling the police, and the police didn't show up until I think they called them a bunch of times, and then by the time the police actually showed up, it was already too late. This person was off by Candyman.
Which I'm a sucker for social, or I don't want to call it political, but social commentary in movies specifically.
Yeah, and I think this one so going back without going I guess too deep into the time period. So obviously the movie was made prior to this, right? Because we know it takes time for the movies to get built. But 1992 was also very big because that was the riots in LA and stuff like that. So there's already racial tension around this time. So that social inequality was already kind of a big thing around this time period. So that's what kind of stuck too, was the inequalities of these housing projects and not being upkept and taken care of in these areas. Which here in a bit you'll find out from Helen herself had mentioned how there's a giant divide, not even a divide, but there's no barrier between the higher end neighborhood to Cabrini Green, which is in their eyes a very I
thought it was the other way around. I thought there was no barrier between her neighborhood and the higher end,
which is why
they had sold it to the middle class people, and Cabrini Green is the one that had I think 2 barriers.
It's on the side of the highway.
Maybe I thought
but it's only 8 blocks away. It's still within a.
She can see it out her window. She literally can look out the window.
But yeah, it does talk about that. How when we find out later that her place also used to be like that. I appreciate again just the commentary of it, and really thinking about urban legends in terms of this community that's overlooked and nobody goes to save them.
I'm so sorry.
Right. Well, part of it is I can't remember if she states it or not here. Her not conclusion, but her thesis is that they're using the Candyman urban legend as their way as a way to like, what's the word I'm looking for, like understand or explain all the negative things that are going on and affecting them in their everyday lives. So they're using that as like the sole thing of
And
like this.
I don't want to say to be okay with it, but it's this idea
It's a
of
coping
like,
mechanism.
right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want him to be real, but you also need him to be real to explain these things.
Yeah.
Or else you have to face the reality of what this could actually mean.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I mentioned earlier, like they actually went to this real place and filmed there. The people at the bottom were like actually people that live there that they had to like make an agreement with in order to film there.
Mm-hmm.
And even I saw mentioned that like a few days before shooting, there was a kid that got like shot there at the place. So it's like a very real world thing. They're very much in like this is reality.
Mm-hmm.
The scene then moves forward after the whole thesis is being shown with Helen showing news articles, right, that she had found about like the Candyman incident, the Ruthie.
Yeah, because she didn't know the Ruthie Green thing happened. So I think that's another good point about like the community is very aware of this and that's their thing, but to the outside communities that have no relationship to them, they don't hear about it. They don't have any other news by it. They don't even associate that urban legend with that. So to them, it's just a crime, but like to the community, they're like, no, this is who did it. This is what it is, but we can't, we can't prove it, or nor is anybody going to put out there that it was this supernatural being, right?
Yeah. And to help like drive the point that there's not really a difference between the building that Helen lives in and Caprini Green, she's saying how like the layouts are the same and that like she's able to map out Ruth's apartment unit with hers, right?
Yes.
And like how the walls are super thin. And she goes to her restroom where she takes behind the mirror there's a medicine cabinet, and then she takes the medicine cabinet off and it's a hole straight to the next.
It's literally
the back of another medicine cabinet.
right. So she pushes it out,
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
That seems like a giant flaw in your.
Yeah, could you imagine like your neighbor's doing a number 2 and you're just like,
which still plays into this idea of like, right, anybody could easily done that. Like it doesn't have to be this like mystical creature. It could have been somebody.
Could have been anybody.
So then she doesn't climb through, right?
No, she just.
She's in Caprini.
Yeah, because there's somebody that probably lives in the next apartment.
It looks empty. Like,
Oh no, there is nobody in there.
but I don't think she crawls through.
She just opens and you can see the.
This is the funny thing is that she doesn't crawl through, so she just puts her medicine cabinet back, and the other one on the other end is just like
down.
She just left it down.
And I think is this the point where they say the Candyman? Yeah. Helen and Bernadette. A good point to make that Bernadette is in the apartment during this time, or condo.
Yeah.
And basically she says they're saying it together, but Bernadette doesn't say it the 5th time and lets Helen say it by herself. But nothing actually happens other than I think that I like the camera here where like as they're leaving the bathroom, it's just you see through that mirror cabinet and you're seeing to another room, which is like foreshadowing what they're gonna find in the other side of where they're about to go.
Yeah. So then we
like open the doorway almost like it's like kind of like I think that's
portal,
very easy like on the nose, like yep, you're just open the door to something you shouldn't have.
So then we cut to the next day, and Bernadette says that they have to be careful with where they're going because now they're going to Caprini Green.
Yeah, they're driving there, and they're just showing her purse, and she has like
a
taser, mace, one of those stabby things.
She's knocked out, bro.
Because they have to be careful because they look like cops. And they arrive at their destination, which is, I guess, like the opposite end of what Helen's condo is. And there's a bunch, and they immediately get catcalled right as soon as they get out of the car.
Yeah.
From like some of the people downstairs in matching like 90s jumpsuits, like they're like the Taco Bell purple blue.
It's like Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
So then they end up going upstairs from the building, and then they arrive at Ruthie's apartment, which of course is open, right? They go inside.
Yeah. It's because it's like, and is it burned? or something. Like
It's all destroyed.
It's
It's
destroyed.
destroyed, but I don't think it's burned. I think it's just a product of the building being not maintained. Because like even when they're walking up, there's graffiti all over the walls,
Right.
and Helen's
So I guess
taking
within
pictures of
the
everything.
however long this murder happened, they just destroyed this room. Actually,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, I do remember watching a video of or like some history and stuff of like the movie, and one of the things they brought up was that is something that's notorious with some of those housing communities within like Chicago and other places, is that a lot of times if somebody left and it didn't get filled, 9 times out of 10, like nobody really, like, because whoever's in charge of it, which I guess is the city, didn't really put money towards it or didn't really care for the facility. So half the time,
waste.
yeah, half of the time the doors would stay unlocked and like people could just go in, and usually what would happen is like anybody from like gangs or drug dealers or whatever could just hole up in there, and there's really nothing anybody could do.
Which they comment on.
Yeah, because and I think that is what happened. Like somebody got in there, basically just destroyed it, roughed it up, and left candy, as we'll find here, with razor blades.
Before we get there, we see the sweets to the
sweets to the sweets. Yeah.
Sweets in the suite. The layout is exactly like Helen's condo. So then they find the restroom, and then the restroom there's a hole where the mirror or the mirror opens up to a hole. So then Helen climbs through. Yeah.
This is when Bernadette's like, yeah, go ahead and go through, and if there's somebody who's like stockpiling drugs or something, give them your card and apologize.
Yeah.
Like basically like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, because I think she's the voice of reason too, right? Like
Yeah.
she understands. Like I know that if there's something back there, it's probably not something we should be involved with. And if somebody is like, you know, like you're saying, like drug stockpile or whatever, like it's not going to be a good look if you're back there.
I think this is like, yeah, Bernadette just being more aware.
I think she just like, it was not a very smart idea to go in there, and Bernadette had at least the wherewithal to be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Is her name Helen?
Helen.
Helen's
yeah.
main character.
This is like a lot of the movie is her being so like focused on her task that she like zones out from anything. Like she's not thinking about the fear because all she cares about is getting like to the
Answers.
bottom. And same thing like with her husband and everything else that's going on around her. She's like so fixated and like hypnotized by the search for the answer.
Yeah. And yeah, when she goes in, you can hear her taking pictures. The ka-chee. She has like the old.
Which I like this because we
camera
get like flat. Like we only see the room through like the flashes.
And then I can't remember. Is this where she goes to the second hole?
Yes.
She runs out of film.
Yeah, and then she goes to the second hole and sees the.
Turns
This was
around.
great. This
Turns
was
around.
good. Yeah.
And
the
it's
Candyman.
I thought it was a really good set piece. It's like basically, it's the hole through the wall is the opening of Candyman's mouth, and then his eyes fixated down, looking at whoever is coming through.
Because she even gets like mesmerized by the eyes for a second.
Yeah.
Like there's this interesting eye contact that happens.
Yeah.
And then they find the pile of candy on the floor.
Is it on his
Yeah.
coat or something? It's like it's on top of
It's
something.
on
I
top
thought it
of
was his
something,
coat,
yeah. But yeah, it's like literally precarious candy just set on there. And her first thought was, let me open this. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you doing?
So
It has
then,
razor blades in it.
And it has razor blades. Yeah, like the things that they warned you about, like as kids. Like, I was like, oh man.
which is like another urban legend, right? When was the last time you heard about razor blades being somebody's candy?
Dude, it's been a while. Was it
Now,
like elementary?
now it's just memes of like, oh no, they put tickets to Weezer in my
Weezer! That's crazy.
Where do I get that at?
So Helen runs out of film. She goes back to Bernadette. And then they get caught by the neighbor who's going to be named Anne Marie, right?
Mhm.
Basically, she's like, what are y'all doing in here? XYZ, you can't be here. And they're like trying to explain themselves, basically saying that they were doing a project and they want to talk to her about Ruthie Jean, right, the neighbor. And so she's like, okay. So then, oh yeah, she's the one who called 911. So then they go over to her unit, which is the one that's right next door. We get introduced to, there's a Rottweiler, I can't remember his name, and then baby Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
So Anne Marie has an infant, and she basically recalls her story, right? That she heard everything that was going on in the next room. She called 911, but nobody showed up until it was too late, and she knows that Candyman did it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, cool. They write all that down. then we cut to a restaurant where Helen's eating with Trevor and his colleagues, I'm assuming.
Benjamin Franklin.
I hate
That's my first thought.
I hate the colleague. He's like, this is another like one of those typical movie things where it's like the partner, this other like pompous professor that like is just like hoity-toity.
He knows everything.
He knows everything, yeah. Because what is it she brings up? Because she's in, you brought up a good point, which is true in a lot of the movies. She's like in a daze. Like she's kind of just like hyper fixated on stuff that she's thinking or whatever.
There's a good shot of your action.
Yeah, and they even do like Morticia Adams where the light is on the eyes and it's just like yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool effect that they don't do enough of these days.
Yeah, but yeah, they slip up about the urban legend or whatever, and then the professor is like,
"Oh, he's like, I
wrote a paper about this 10 years ago."
And what did she say? And he's like, "Yo, do you read it so you could get info?" She's like, "No, blah 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 blah, because we're gonna figure out something better. Yeah, I'll do it." And then he's like, "Well, if you knew, then you would know the real story." And then she doesn't, which is crazy to me that you were doing all this research. And at no point did you ever actually find out the real origin story of Candyman. And so then we get like the lore drop from this guy, which I guess, long story short, he came from a wealthy family of former slave that basically invented like something to do with shoe production, like mass produced.
Yeah, his dad had.
Yeah, so that helped kind of industrialize that.
He became an artist.
Yeah, he became an artist, but he gets in all the best schools. And then he basically got commissioned to do a painting for this rich family, and it was painting the daughter. He fell in love. They had a kid, and the dad was not very happy about that. So basically, he hired a mob, and they did some pretty gruesome things to Candyman. And basically, the idea was they replaced his hand for a hook, covered him in honeycomb, so he could get stung to death by the bees, and then he got, I'm pretty sure, on fire, right?
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
And another like social commentary about like just the era.
Yeah.
Regardless of being enslaved or not, like it was still.
And this was like what did he say? This was in the 1700s?
It was in 1890.
1890.
Right, so it's still very much.
Yeah. And one of the other things to note was in this scene, they didn't show anything, but you could just hear like little murmurs of things, and then as it ramped up into the part where they're talking about what happened to him, basically you could hear him screaming and like it's just getting louder. And as they're doing this scene, another cool like scene moment is the Morticia eyes things gets even more focused and close up, and everything gets darker around her, and it's just hyper focusing on her eyes, where she's just like basically like just mortified by like hearing these things and like stuck in, like you're saying, that trance.
She's really fallen into the
legend, yeah. Which is again crazy to me that like, how are you doing this research and that you didn't figure that out? Like that's crazy to me. Yeah. I think it's because she hated that guy, but
it was the 90s. There was no internet.
There was no. Oh, I mean, yeah. I guess, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think I've made that thought before. I was like, man, what do people do without the internet?
I'm sitting here like, bro, you didn't see it on TikTok?
Yeah. I mean, she didn't do the newspaper like.
Yeah. The microfiche.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Think about how many newspaper things you'd have to go through. Like,
which even with this backstory, I mean, we kind of got to take his word for it. Like, it's another just part of the urban legend that like we don't. Yeah. He could be making it up. Other people might have a different story of it. Like,
we'll find out later that he's not. But yes, you're right.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct.
So then we come back to Capernaum Green, where Helen is looking for Mary Ann, and she can't find her, but she meets a kid named Jake.
Mm-hmm. Which apparently all this kid stuff was done in like one take. Like he was just killing it. Which, if you know, these interactions are great. It's really funny. It's like the no talking to police policy where the kid's like, I don't know shit, bro.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know.
You got the wrong guy.
Yeah. Where she starts asking questions about. She starts asking Jake about Ruthie Jean, and he says he can't say anything or Candyman will get him. Mm-hmm. Then Helen's like, no, if you show me where Candyman is, then I'll keep it a secret, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever. And he's like, okay. So then they go for a walk and they pass by basically a giant pile of wood, right? So there's wooden
like
chairs
pallets,
and sofas and pallets.
Just a bunch of like stuff that they don't need anymore.
Yeah, and so Helen asks, "What's that for?" And Jake says it's for the party they're gonna have later. So then they eventually stop at like a park restroom that's not too far outside of the building, I don't think. And he starts recounting a story that he heard. So again, urban legend, starting to be built up here, where he heard that a boy was attacked by Candyman in the restroom, and then they show like a shot of the gore, and it's great.
Oh yeah, we get a quick little flashback.
Yeah, he said the man walked into a strong man walked in there to see what was going on because they could hear the screams, and he saw, and then that's when they showed the images, and then that he walked out and his hair was turned all white. And this is the second time they mentioned that, because they mentioned that in the first story at the beginning, that the boyfriend, when he saw what had happened, that his hair turned white and went crazy, which I guess is like all these things scare you so bad that you just your hair just turns white.
Right. So then Helen goes inside of the restroom and starts taking pictures. And same thing as the other building, like Pretty Green, we see "Sweets for the Sweet" graffitied on the wall.
Which is a Shakespeare quote, but I don't know what it's in reference to.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I know it is a Shakespeare quote, but I don't know.
It's a Lizette question.
And we get a quick little. There's like an arrow, and then I'm pretty sure there's bees in the.
Oh yeah, yes, free sweets or whatever, and then she opens it up the toilet. Which, first of all, I don't think we mentioned, this bathroom is nasty. Like this is like
she's like covering her nose.
Like Terrifier doesn't have a candle to like how nasty
the sweet thing.
I don't
written in shit. Or
I don't know.
I think it is because it's 3D.
It's 3D.
Whenever she opens the door, because some of it's on the door.
Yeah, she does have her hand over, which I feel bad, but it plays into what we were talking about, how like these facilities don't get upkept because nobody from the city is taking responsibility for it. Like you're saying, it's too much hassle for them to upkeep.
We've seen a lot of like aerial shots too when they're walking back and forth in this area, that it all kind of just looks like half it looks demolished.
Yeah, and so and she opens it again. This lady literally like, you know what? Let me open this because that's what I should do. And then she opens it and it's literally a toilet full of bees. Like I'm not like from. You can't see the bottom, and I don't think you see anything inside the bowl other than just like solid bees, which is crazy that she didn't even hear this. She just opened it.
And then she's approached by somebody or a group of people.
Oh, because we get the quick like.
Oh yeah, the boy is standing outside looking at there, and then you see the coat and the hand on the thing.
Candyman.
I was like, "It's you."
But then this group of men walk into the restroom. One of them has a hook, like what do they call them? Ice hooks or whatever?
That's a fish hook.
Fish hook. Yeah. Yes, you're right. And she basically gets beaten up by these people.
He says the line, bro. I heard you're looking for Candyman, bitch.
That's wild. And then the next thing, they literally go down the line and make multiple people say it's crazy.
Yeah, the police station. Because she gets beaten up.
The kid goes in, finds her, and is like, just sees her, and then that's when I think it literally fast forward immediately to the
lineup.
To lineup, yeah.
And she picks out the correct person who assaulted her, and Detective something with a V, I forget his last name. But he's like, "Oh, thanks for calling him out. Like we finally were able to pin him on something." So. Basically, basically what he's saying is that this guy was leading one of the gangs, or supposedly is leading one of the gangs, but they haven't been able to pin any crime on him. So Helen reporting this, and they basically are.
She's a witness.
I think they also stated that they think he was the one that took out the lady, which
he is Candyman.
Yeah, which could be fair. I mean, I don't know if she somehow opened up the medicine cabinet, saw the hole, and then saw that there was stuff back there she shouldn't have, But this is, I think, here. She's going to talk to the kid here in a second, and basically the kid's mad because he was like, "You're supposed to be our secret. You said you weren't going to say anything." And he knows that's like, I shouldn't have told you anything because you lied. And she's like, no, it's okay.
You're not going to have to testify.
We're not going to testify, and you don't have to worry about him anymore. Candyman's gone. And he's like, really?
She says Candyman's not real.
Oh, not real. And so I think at this point, up until this point, was 45 minutes in, right? She essentially is, in our eyes, basically is proved her thesis, right? That oh no, there was a real person behind all this, and the group and the community bought into this. And some of them probably knew that it was gang affiliated, but they just couldn't say anything. But this leader knew that he could use that as a form of intimidation and fear to help kind of get the community to not interfere with his business and what he's doing. So I think that's really cool that the movie leaned into that early, and also set it up to where it's oh look, it was real all along, there wasn't any issue, and then we're about to find out that no, you just made things 1,000 times worse.
There's even comments on the thing they talked about earlier where the police didn't do anything until it was a white person who basically became a victim of it.
Right.
Okay, now we can finally do it. Which is, it's this weird situation where the main detective is a black guy. There's this class thing happening. Yeah. But yeah, it's still playing into this guy isn't real. It's not actually a folklore thing.
Yeah. So after Helen leaves the police station, she goes home and cooks Trevor some dinner. And we could tell that this guy, there's something going on with him, because he looks at the food and he's basically nah, I'm not hungry. Yeah. She's like, did you eat before? And he was like, no, but I'm just not feeling it. And so three of us being married men are oh yeah, we know exactly what the fuck
Stacy's mom had it going on.
Stacy's mom.
Yeah, he was guilty as hell. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, they pretty much set up from the get-go that he's not being honest with her, and he's obviously having things happening on the side, and she's she's I think aware, but again can't really say anything, and she's under that a delusion too, right? She's just accepting that oh no, he's probably just not hungry or whatever, but she's not
just
too
so then we cut to the university, and just like Adam is saying, the whole thing about talking to Bernadette about Candyman was real, but
we got to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we got to the bottom.
We solved the mystery.
So then she's walking into the parking lot. She's going
because she saved the photos. Bernadette said, "Oh, you were able to salvage photos." She's like, "Yeah." And so she's looking at these little tiny film, the things you put in the projector to do the little and she's looking at them in a parking garage where there's hardly no light. She's looking at these shots. I'm just wait till you get homeward to where you have this little machine. I'm
apparently only her and Bernadette were the only people parked there. I don't know. There's no other
parking garage. Yeah. I mean it's the same thing with Drag Me to Hell. We just did that one. There's 2 cars there.
Yeah.
So then we are. So Helen's walking in the parking lot, and she can hear her name being called.
And it's the super dark Helen. I'm
right in the ears.
The Freaky Fred.
Yeah.
Helen.
So then she gets to her vehicle, she turns around, and on the other side of the parking lot, 45 minutes into the movie, this is where we can see his whole...
This is such a good...
And he's by the light. She's I think on a covered side, he's on the open side, so because the light's behind him, he's kind of still silhouette-ish. Yeah. But you can see the figure. He has the coat.
At first we get just the footsteps, and then we get the.
Oh yeah, you get the he's he has his decked out.
It's such a good reveal.
Yeah, and he has his jacket. So it seems very similar to oh, this is just another guy in a jacket, right? It's So basically, I don't remember his lines word for word, but so he essentially drops some information on her. He's you didn't believe, and now I had to come to prove to you. Because my
yes.
basically
I'm obligated to.
Yeah, I'm obligated to come to see you because you didn't believe in the folklore in my stories. And then he kind of is also insinuating you mess things up because now other people don't believe in me. He's so now I'm going to have to spill innocent blood to basically make my congregation, I think this is when he first uses that, my congregation, so that, they're aware that I'm still here because, I think he drop the line here about the whispers in the classroom and the whispers in the classroom and the stories and the walls or something. I don't know, it's a whole really good series of lines, but essentially it's you messed things up because you now made this person that was helping keep my story alive, now you've ended that, so now I have to do something to make people believe again. What's up?
That is so funny. because that is the exact reasoning for Freddy to awaken Jason.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. This movie, I think, does a really good job of kind of doing like Freddy's thing, right? Freddy doesn't have power unless people believe.
Doesn't Freddy break like the fourth wall in that movie and do a whole?
I don't think in that one.
Yeah,
okay,
but I know he did. He looks in the camera a lot. But no, but Freddy, but not Freddy. But like this is kind of very Nightmare on Elm Street because of the whole like belief system that he needs people to believe and have the folklore going on to keep his memory alive. So that is already in itself. He's given away like I need my name to be passed around so that I can exist, so I can live, you know.
Yeah.
Which I don't. You saying this all right now is the first time it's clicked to me that like, because we see him and we now know that he's a real thing, I just automatically pinned all the other deaths that have happened prior to this on him. But it's very possible that other people were functioning as like a vessel.
I don't even think they were a vessel. I think they literally just were doing things and using his name to
which
like,
made him seem real.
What made him seem real, and so he didn't have to do anything.
And it never clicked to me that, like, that was happening. I automatically assumed, oh no, he did kill all these people because he's a real thing.
Right. And so that's the thing, like, I guess you could go back and say, like, you don't know. I think I can't remember for sure. I have to go back and watch it because I didn't, like, pay too enough attention to it. But, like, I'm pretty sure the cop even pins that, like, he believes that guy was the murderer to Ruth Anthony. Yeah, Ruthie. And so, like, I think that in that sense, same thing. Like, he didn't have to spill any blood because his name was out there. But now that somebody got pinned and like, oh, we got him. Now he has to now he has to come out and do something because if not, people are going to forget.
Still alive.
Yeah, people are going to forget.
So then the camera gets pretty close to Helen. Yeah, she's in a trance. It's the same thing Morticia eyes.
He says, what does he say? The last couple lines are like, "Be my victim,"
something like that. Yeah,
he says that a lot.
Yeah, be my victim.
And then Helen wakes up and she's covered in blood and she hears all this screaming and it's Mary Ann screaming. Sorry, not Mary Ann. She hears all this screaming and
she's like in a bathroom. She's in the bathroom.
Yeah, covered in blood. Opens the door and sees the Rottweiler's head on the floor
and a butcher's knife like right next to it. And I understand to an extent because you're worried for your safety because she doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
But we all know, don't do what she just did. She literally picks up the cleaver and like, let me walk with this because I need to probably go help the mom. Not knowing that like that was a weapon just used on that dog.
You have a murder weapon.
Yeah, now your fingerprints are all over it, which is insane.
Yeah. So then she opens the door to Anne Marie's room and she's crying over baby Anthony's crib, the crib is also covered in blood, but he's not in the thing. Mm-hmm. And then the two of them start to get into a fight. They make their way to the kitchen where I think Helen like is about to use the knife.
No, she's trying to like basically the mom tackles her and is like, "What did you do?" And he's like hitting her. So she like again inherently is trying to defend herself with why I don't know why she has the cleaver. And she like
jabs her in the
side, and it does the Freddy versus Jason blood spurt,
which we get again later.
Yeah, we get again later, and so that's when I think the cops come in. And they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And literally caught red-handed with a cleaver, just hit the mom, and this giant scene of like just blood everywhere, and she's the one holding
the baby's nowhere to be found.
And the baby's nowhere to be found.
Which this begs the question. Do we think Candyman did it, or was she actually? Since she blacked out this whole time, do we think she did it?
So I think that's the beauty of this movie is
that's kind of the point.
You don't know, and I think that's interesting. That I think it is him that does it because he's the one that says I'm gonna spill innocent blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And she blacks out, but I think from everything that we've seen or we see as we go, I think it plays up to the fact that he does it, but the way that they set it up until the reveal point at the end,
you're right.
It makes it seem like she's the one that did it because there's really no proof that.
Because there's scenes where we see him do it, and then she still gets she
gets blamed. So that's it's the good thing how this movie plays out is that again it's a very psychological like is he real or is he not because like there's no proof that this man is this person's doing anything. You're the only one at this crime scene doing these things, and multiple times you pick up weapons and then you get caught with said weapon. Like, I'm like, how do you not learn?
That's so funny. So then we're at this police station, and they're doing the whole thing, making sure she doesn't have any...
searching her, right?
Yeah, take off everything, and she's just like very like insistent on, I need to make my phone call. Where's Trevor? Where's blah blah blah? I want to go home, and he just doesn't understand the situation.
And then we're talking to Detective Valento. That's his name.
Is this before or after the phone call?
This is before.
This is before.
Where he starts to read her Miranda rights, and then we go to the phone call.
And the other guy that's with him is like fucking yelling at her, like,
he's trying
answer the damn question.
It's good cop, bad cop. Yeah, that's how the 90s were.
So then she calls Trevor. We'll find out later on that it's 3 a.m, but he doesn't pick up. He's not home. We get a shot of the bedroom and basically the whole apartment. He's not there.
Not there. And the lights are on, I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And then we cut to her being in the cell where she has a flash. I think she's staring at the toilet, right? And then there's like a flash of baby Anthony and that he's in the Candyman apartment.
Yeah. She's having like, weird visions. Like,
because she also keeps getting flashes of like the portrait of him, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
so then we cut. Trevor bails her out. We're back at their place where she's basically saying what happened from her perspective, right?
Mm-hmm. She's just like, I blacked out. I woke up and...
Yeah.
And this man wasn't home at 3 a.m.
And I think at this point, too, the detective, before they released her, also had mentioned, like, they're not going to be able to hold her, which is crazy to me because she was in this apartment and assaulted somebody with a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, assault with a deadly weapon
and a baby's missing.
But the reason they can't, I guess maybe bail, I don't know. But the reason they can't keep her jailed is because there's no body, therefore there's no murder. There's no murder, right?
As if the dog doesn't...
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure if you did that nowadays, you would go to jail for the dog.
Just animal cruelty. But like again, it's crazy that she didn't stay in there for the sheer fact that she was in this apartment, had cleaver in hand. That literally, they had, fingerprints at this point.
I think. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Unless they somehow decided that it wasn't from the cleaver, which I know medical examiners can tell what kind of object and certain things. So maybe that was the reasoning why. But I thought it was crazy that she literally was in the apartment with all of that and somehow got to walk away, without like, well, we'll come back and get you eventually, But it's like, what?
I think it has to play into the social commentary of the movie.
That's true, I guess, but that's crazy.
Yeah, like if it was like if Helen was an African American individual, then all of this would have played out very differently.
Yeah,
100%.
So then we cut to Helen being in the bathtub, and then this is where Trevor walks in, and she asks Trevor, "Where were you at last night?" And he was like, "Oh, I was here. I was just asleep."
Oh, and then he's about to leave again. He's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta run to school for 20 minutes."
Yeah,
it's like gonna be like 5 hours.
That's crazy.
After your wife's just like,
yeah, exactly.
Bro, what? You're just leaving her there, like.
Well, he even makes note of that, right? He's like, hey, I mean, it's kind of a weird time because I don't feel like, I don't think you're gonna be okay alone.
But I gotta go.
Yeah.
So then after the bath, then she puts the little Polaroids into like the little slide machine, the slideshow, and she's looking at all the pictures until she finds one that she took in the abandoned apartment.
And with the mirror.
Yes. As she does like the CIS Miami enhanced.
Like a shitload, bro.
Like, to where in the background of the picture, or I guess in the reflection in the mirror, there's the silhouette.
Bro, and it gets all clear. Like,
and she's just like adjusting the focus, right?
Yeah, like what is it? The mean one where he's in the background, like classic.
So then she goes to the restroom and she's staring at the mirror, and then she looks away, and then we get a jump scare of like the hook.
Oh yeah, the hook comes through the mirror.
Fucking noise, bro.
And then she runs into the hallway of like the apartment building, and then Candyman's at the end of the hallway. So she runs back into her unit.
She's like hiding for a second, and then Bernadette comes in.
Yes.
And Bernadette walks in. I think this is where we.
Oh, she had been stabbed in the neck right before, right? Because she can't talk. And then Bernadette knocking.
No.
Bernadette. Oh yes, you're right.
That is the
Helen
scene.
got like cut on the side.
But yeah, so Bernadette walks in to the apartment, which I don't know. I guess because she walked out, the door wasn't locked. Even though I would think you would lock it if you felt like there was somebody in the hallway.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. But Bernadette comes in to the apartment and she sees Candyman. So I think this is technically really confirmation that like, no, he's real because she's seeing him.
Which apparently, I feel like it's a case that he can make himself seen to who he wants to see him.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he picks and chooses who.
Yeah.
can
And
see
then
him.
he ends up basically taking out Bernadette.
Yes.
And I think this is also an off-screen, like, but you hear it. Basically, it goes back to I think his little hideout or whatever, and all you're hearing is the noises.
Yeah, we don't see her till later.
Yeah, but basically, somebody made a joke. I was watching another video where they're like, "Man, like the voice effect and like the audio of him, like basically taking out Bernadette. It sounds like he's struggling. He's like, oh, it's like, man, he needs to work on his cardio." I was like, bro. I was like, gee. Yeah, basically he takes out Bernadette.
Yeah.
And doesn't she black out?
She blacks out.
She
again,
blacks
yes.
out, and then Trevor comes home to see everything.
Yeah.
She wakes up. She's in their bed with or not even handcuffs. They're zip ties, right?
No.
I think she's cuffed to the bed. I think zip ties are.
No. I thought no. He comes in and she's passed out, but she's passed out with a knife in her hand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wakes up. She has a knife in her hand.
But then
and that's when Trevor walks in. So again,
okay, she was trying to defend herself, right? Is that why she had the knife?
I think so. Yeah, and again,
Just
doesn't
like I don't think she can kill him. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. And so it doesn't look good again. Literally red-handed. And then I can't remember. Yeah, they show the body and she's like really pale. Like this had to have been a lot of drainage.
Which I was watching a commentary today on it, kind of critiquing this. Like the person who was talking about it was like, yeah, I don't know if the makeup artist didn't know how to do makeup on a black person, but like. It looks. I don't know.
I think it's the amount of blood loss.
It's supposed to be pale. It
kind
of looked like white face to me. I don't know.
It was definitely like.
But yeah, because this is when like Helen's being escorted out of the. This is the first time she sees Bernadette. She's being like escorted out of the apartment, and it's pretty bad. Man.
Yeah.
It's just like a mangled.
And then they're asking her questions in the apartment right next to them. I'm like. What is this? Like, who's running this detective show? This is like...
Bro, it's 1990 Chicago.
They're not doing anything by the book. Like, this seems crazy to me. But yeah, then they book her and she goes to the... They basically handcuff her and she's in basically in a gurney. Like, they're taking her to a hospital. And then they put her in a room and she's like, basically like, Trevor lets her go and like, the cops have to, like, he even hugs her, right? Like, before they take her away, like, hugs her. It's like, oh, it's going to be...
I think he kisses her hand, but I don't think he hugs her.
No, beforehand in the apartment.
Yeah.
Which I thought is crazy.
Isn't she just beg him, like, hold me or something?
Yeah.
This part?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's crazy.
She's, like, begging him for affection, and he's like...
Yeah, I'm like, that's wild.
And then they take her to a mental health rehabilitation center.
Yes, they do. Where she's strapped to the bed and she sees Candyman come
Like
down from
floating.
the ceiling. And just like Jordan was saying, how Candyman can let certain people see him. Because later on in the movie, we see the CCTV of like what are
There's
recording,
nothing,
and there's nothing there.
Which this added to his aura, bro. This was fine. I was literally in the scene. I was looking for the string to see how
The string.
But yeah, he just like gets
Floats down.
He's like doing
down.
he's just doing the most.
And then the medical staff come in to sedate him.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, he's under the bed.
And they come in to sedate her. And this, can I see this real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. How much? Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
Look up what is 32 ounces in milliliters.
Oh yeah, what did he say? He's like 1,000 milliliters or something. It's
32
a lot.
ounces is 946 milliliters.
So the doctor comes in to sedate, right? And he tells the nurse, "Bring me 1,000 milliliters." So what that means in this little syringe, this is less than a liter. This Chick-fil-A 32 ounce cup is less than a liter. They injected this woman
With more. That's why she didn't wake up for a month, bro.
Like, I was like, what the fuck?
Would that kill you? I want to know.
Bro, what?
I didn't even catch that.
Yes, depending on what.
They also said when she got the shot, I didn't catch this. I want to watch it again. They said the needle bends, like because it's a fake one, but like they just said it goes boop.
Yeah, it's just one of those like I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch it either. I was looking up facts and I was like, oh, I need to go watch that again to see what that happens.
That's cool.
1,000 milliliters.
That's crazy.
But
like going
but
through
it's just a
syringes.
regular syringe that they inject you with.
But
It's not
the
1,000.
tube has to be like this big.
But yeah, I just thought that was really
At
fun.
that point, man, I said you will be out for a month at that point. Jeez.
So then we see that Candyman's taking care of baby Anthony. I think he's crying and he like feeds
Feeds
him
him
something.
honey.
Yeah, which you're not supposed to feed a baby under 1 honey. That's besides the point. And then we cut back to Helen, and the staff comes in, and we get introduced to Dr. Burke. Burke.
And she's like, where's my husband? And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know, but I want to meet him too.
Yeah.
This clerk had like no chill. I was like, that's wild.
And this is where we find out that she's been in there for a month.
And this man hasn't visited her at all.
Yeah, and the doctor asks what happened in the apartment, and she's like basically recounts the story, whatever, and then they show her footage of like what the room, right, where we saw Candyman get lowered down, but it's nobody in the.
And he has 4 CCTVs that show the same thing. Like, why does he need to have 4?
Yeah. And in the recording, you could hear the doctor again say to get the 1,000 milliliters.
Jeez.
And then she said that she's not capable of what happened to Bernadette, and like what she means by that is that, and I think she specifies specifically that it's not so much that she's not capable of murder, she's not capable of mutilation.
Yeah.
Is what she was getting at. And says that she can prove it by calling Candyman, and she does the whole look in the mirror.
Yeah, because for some reason this doctor has like a mirror in his office, and she it's in viewpoint. She like turns and looks at it and says his name 5 times. And so I think this is another interesting point. This is the only on-screen kill for Candyman in this movie. He like basically, because at first I'm like, what is he gonna do? Like appear behind her? It's just like the doctor, like, what are you talking? And he's like, like, and he just like, I mean, he pretty much like just like rips him with the hook. I mean, yeah, he goes to town.
Which there is a little. This is me being nitpicky, but right before she like summons him, the view we get of the doctor, when it cuts back to him right before the jump scare, it's like you can tell it's a different shot. Like, the quality's a little different. I was like, oh yeah, come on.
It's part of the reshoots.
Yeah.
and then like he basically like rips her bands off. Because what did he say? He's like, so what are you gonna do now? Like,
Something
and
like that,
because he at some point mentioned, I can't remember if he mentioned. I think he mentions it when he visits her in the room before she gets sedated. But basically, he uses the line of like, I have the child. He will be in your place if you do not basically come to me. You're the kid. And so, and he even says like something along the lines, like, I don't know, what is going to be your next move? What are you going to do?
Which is funny because he's like, he could have just killed her already. Like he's just toying with her.
I'll bring up a point that somebody had brought up, and when they said that, I like clicked that. I'm like, I can see that, and it's a good, I guess, viewpoint on how they approached it. But yeah. And so then this is I would say this is one nitpick from the entire. Well, I guess 2. One of 2. Which the second one I think we can probably all say is probably the cheesiest part of the movie. But this is he basically. I don't know if y'all remember the Dark Knight Rises. Well, the one with the Joker. But basically, when he goes to China to extradite the dude that takes all the money from the gang members to hold it, but like Batman uses this thing that like grapple hooks him from the sky and like pulls him out the window, and so that's how Tony Todd leaves. Like he reverse cannonballs, or he goes into like a cannonball and just like goes out the window.
How did they film it? I want to know how they filmed it. It
looked
real.
Yeah, he just like.
It's like, he has like a,
He's like, I went into a cannonball. His kids pulled out of this window. It literally was like, it reminded me, was like, that's the Dark Knight Rises. They said they just pulled him out of this window. But yeah, he like flies away. Like, I guess he can fly. I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
He has flying abilities, I guess. That was probably one of the cheesier effects.
And then you can start to hear like the guards coming down the hallway or whatever. So then Helen escapes because there's the gutter drain right next to it. So she climbs down that, goes into the floor under,
knocks on the window, and the nurse is like, "Oh yeah, let me open this window."
And then beats the crap out of the nurse.
No, she just jumps on her and her head, boom, like just gets knocked out. Yeah.
She's like Family Guy.
Yeah.
Steals her uniform, runs out the door.
Blood on face.
Yes, she has her blood, or the nurse's blood on her face. Goes into the elevator and then escapes pretty much.
Which again, I think this is another like, what? You just went on a full lockdown and they didn't shut down the front doors. Like she's in nurse's outfit, able to just walk out the front door. That's wild. That is wild.
So then she ends up back at her condo, where the furniture is being covered with plastic tarps, and then the walls change from being white, now they're being painted pink.
And like, I think they even like started changing already all the decorations and stuff too, which is wild.
At first, I thought somebody else had moved in or something, or he had moved out.
Me too. That's what I thought.
Because the new furniture is like wrapped up, like it's all.
Yeah. So then she walks into the kitchen where we can see Stacy painting on the wall.
Which I thought, I don't know. That's another wild thing too. Is like for how controlling this dude was. Like he just let his little side, girlfriend just basically make over his entire condo. Like she ain't paying any of that money for rent, and he's just like, yeah, no, go ahead, decorate however you want. Like what? What? That's crazy.
So then she gets freaked out by Helen. Trevor walks into the room, and then basically from here it's like, call the police on me. Oh, you're too scared to take away the phone.
Oh, he said, yeah. What are you afraid of?
Oh, because Stacy's.
I thought this was a really good tense moment. Like this is a very, very good tense moment of like, is Helen gonna snap and like actually like take out like Stacy? Which she had. I mean, in her mind, probably has every good reason because it's like you've been cheating on me with this person, and you've been like basically taking him away, and literally, I think she's in the area to where, because she has like something, right? Like a weapon of some sort? No, she doesn't.
I think she's just holding the phone.
The phone, yeah.
But she even tells him like, "Oh, you thought I was never gonna get out."
Yeah. Which is fair. He probably didn't. And he's wearing his bathrobe.
Yeah, his bathrobe, like the kind you'd see in the cartoons, like the rich people with the pipes.
Yeah. That's wild.
Then she breaks up with him and then leaves. And then I think at that point,
and she like runs around and cries. The girlfriend.
So then we cut and we're on a bridge where she hears Candyman's voice. And one of the lines that I picked out that he says is that they will abandon you, and all you have left in my desire for... They will abandon you. All you have left is my desire for you.
Yeah.
Which is basically like one of the things in my mind for her to like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go give you what you want. Right? And what else? Just like you said it. Like, what else do I have to lose? So then she goes back to Cabrini Green and goes into the unit. She goes into the hole in the wall, and then she finds a hook, right? The ice hooks, and then she somehow the floor on the unit above is broken, so she's able to climb up to the unit above.
And she sees like all the art and things.
Yes, she sees,
which is really cool. Like I thought this was, I think, really cool for the movie is like the murals of like basically the story of what the professor said at the beginning. It shows like shows Candyman in his original like human state in like 1800s attire. Yeah. And then you have basically, I think, the townspeople and like the hook and the bees and the fire and all that stuff. Which kind of like tells his story on the wall, which is cool. And like the way they did the art, I thought was really cool.
Yeah. And then she finds Candyman asleep. I guess ghosts have to get their nappies.
Yeah. on a giant cement slab, like ritual table. Almost just like crazy that's in this building. Like what was this originally?
She goes to stab him with the hook. At the same time, he opens his eyes. I think she does make contact.
She does make contact, and he goes,
like you're saying, why was it in there originally? This is like the layer that it's like kind of gothic. Like it looks nothing like the other apartment.
It's like abandoned, torn down, demolished, like you had mentioned. Which is interesting, and it's within the same building that all these people are living in, but because nobody ventures through there and through that room, nobody really knows. Oh, I think people do know that it exists because I have to imagine those murals and stuff were painted by somebody. I just don't think he's there during that time, right? I don't know what he's into ethos or like whatever.
Or they can't see him, yeah.
Or he's just chilling.
So then he basically puts Helen in a trance, right? Where like, she's starting to get hypnotized, and
that seems to be a common theme, right? In this
every
movie,
time
like,
she sees him,
she like falls into a trance.
Yeah. And then he picks her up and he starts dropping some more heavy lines that I wish I had written down.
I only have a few of them. Most of these were from earlier, which I will throw out. There was another thing that's going to play into one of his final line deliveries. When she was in the hospital bed, like the last time we saw him before he visited the doctor in the office, was the what do the good know except what the bad teach them by their excesses? And then she's like calling him, a murderer. And then he says, allow me at least a kiss, just one exquisite kiss. So like he's really trying to entice her to like come to him and like be a part of him. It's like, basically setting up this trance or whatever is him kind of wanting her to like, he's like, give yourself to me so that we can be, basically I will make you a legend or some, like, long story short, he's basically like telling her to like accept him and let her be the victim so that they can live together, and he will make her basically not a martyr story, but I'm trying to remember the like, you'll be a new legend, like our story will be legendary, and you will like what we will do will become like another
you know what, I think you're right. He says like our story will be legendary, because when he says that, I had the exact same Hellraiser where what does he tell her, that your suffering will be legendary, and I was like, oh yeah.
Which is this when he tells her like it was always you, or is that
that's later.
That's later. So, and then this is when we get probably one of the coolest shots that I think really makes this movie iconic. So he essentially, as she's in this trance, basically goes to kiss her, but before he does, he like goes catatonic and like opens his mouth, and like all these bees, all these live bees are in his mouth, and I can't remember if he opens his coat or not.
It's before, because she touches his chest, and then he opens the coat, and it's we see all his ribs and all the bees, and then
it opens his mouth, and the bees are coming out.
What a great shot!
Yeah, and they're all real bees. I think they were bred to be exactly 12 days or 12 weeks old, just enough to where their stingers weren't developed enough to do any damage. So that the fact that he put real live bees in his mouth and let them just in there and like didn't like that
which
was
apparently he got stung 23 times and he got a $1,000 bonus for each one.
That's wild.
And apparently homegirl also
got stung a few times,
and she's allergic to bees. Like apparently more so wasps, but like they had to have like medical people on thing, and the director's like, you're okay, we'll have medical people. But I think for this shot and scene alone, this movie's worth watching. Like, it's such a badass scene.
Yeah, because I don't think anybody at this point in current day will ever do anything like it. And even if you try to CGI it, I don't think, like, the fact that the way they look real is like, it's insane.
You can tell it
is really good.
They're in there, bro.
Yeah, they're in there. They're just like crawling up his mouth.
He had something in the back of his throat to make sure like they didn't go down his throat. Yeah. It's like, I couldn't, bro. You couldn't pay me enough to do that.
And he does it again in later movies.
Yeah,
and he fought for that role. Like, what a crazy guy.
So then he goes down to kiss Helen, and then bees get transferred, I think, between the two of them, right? And so then he goes to baby Anthony, pick up Anthony. I think he like takes him away, right? And then Helen wakes up and she sees on the wall, it's painted, "It was always you, Helen," in big letters. I think right underneath a mural of Candyman, or it's painted on top. I can't remember which one. But then it zooms in to the mural that's painted on the wall of the woman that Candyman had fell in love with, and it's someone who looks exactly like Helen.
Yeah. So it has come to the assumption that she is like a reincarnation of Helen, of the lady. So I will bring up a point now that has come full circle. So part of something that somebody had said, and I never really thought about it. I mean, I guess loosely, but never really, nailed down, was what you had brought up of why didn't he just take her out? Part of that was this, but it's also because he wanted her to give herself up willingly. And I think that's a theme in other horror movies where like the antagonist like pushes them to the point where they feel as though they have no other recourse and no other choice. They just have to submit because they've taken everything from them, right? And that's very typical and psychological theory.
Which makes sense,
essentially.
Because he needs to prove something to her. Like, all the other people that get killed throughout this are just, like, unimportant. They're just, like, tools that he uses in order to get through to her.
Yeah,
like,
but the fact that he has to alienate and isolate her from everybody else, like the fact that he isolated the one person in Cabrini Green, right, which is used her specifically, knowing that was like her only friendly contact within that area, which sets off the chain reaction of then nobody in Cabrini Green liking her. Then you had the taking out her best friend. You basically alienate the husband even further, even though he was already kind of halfway alienated, to where she doesn't have anybody left. And that was the line, right? That was the line he said to him. The husband was like, you were the last person I had left. Like, I have nothing else like you. So the fact that she finally realized that he was cheating on her this whole time and that relationship was not meaning anything meant that she had no more lifelines. Like, there's nobody else in the entire world that cared for her, that she had nothing. So that's why this scene was important, and that whole circle is important, because I think it really signifies that he is the answer, right? Like, he's like, I'm going to take you, we're going to be together, like, I need to, get you away from all that. Which, I mean, he kind of is somewhat successful in a sense.
Which is she... I have a certain understanding of this, but is she still alive past this point? Like, physically a human, or is she now what he is?
No, she's a human, She doesn't die until this last scene right here. I mean, we're pretty much, this is the last scene.
Right. So she starts to hear a baby crying. She goes down with her ice hook into the pile of wood that was, that Jake had pointed out earlier. And Jake sees the hook as she's diving into the pile. And he's like, Candyman. And then he goes to basically tell everybody in the building that Candyman has arrived. The crowd gathers around, and so basically what we have here...
And all these kids, first of all, the people that light it on fire first are like children, and they have gasoline canisters. I was like, what?
Yeah, and I think on the torches, it looked like honey. I don't know if it is, but that they actually used to set on fire. And then they start burning the pile while Helen's inside, climbing towards Anthony. She finally reaches him. And then Candyman comes out and he's like, "Oh, we can finally."
He holds her, basically trying to hold her down.
So wait, so then did he lie?
That was a point of contention with me, where I was like, he literally said, like, it's either you or him. I don't know, maybe it's because she didn't fully give herself up. I mean, because it felt like it was still hypnotism, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that she went, I thought, was a sign that she was. But yeah, he was basically gonna hold on to her. He used her as the vessel, like, just to get him in there. And I want to say he did lie, because I think his idea was, once it's all said and done, the only people that they're going to see in there is Helen and the baby. So that was his, you basically, you did this to a child. And that's like that would have been really bad, right? That
she would have become her own fool.
Yeah, and the fact that the kid, saw the hook, it's Candyman, and it ended up being her. Well, now she was the new Candyman, and now you have two people that are Candyman, and I think that expands on his lore, right? Or expands on his urban legend, because now you have more fuel of, like, well, if there's two, there's going to be more, like, maybe he just jumps around and you just...
Right. Yeah. So then from here, the stack of wood is basically on fire. Helen's trying to escape with Anthony in her arms. You have the classic, she's escaping, and then the fire beam.
Well, she grabs a flaming, like, stake and
and
stabs him.
So that she can physically interact.
Yeah,
with
he's
him.
like,
I guess when he takes physical form, he makes himself vulnerable. I don't really.
So it's probably like
Yeah.
And then she is able to escape. Candyman stays inside of the pile, but she doesn't. She escapes with Anthony. Anthony gets returned back to Anna Marie, but Helen doesn't survive her burns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, this is an interesting point where it plays into what I was saying earlier, where the little kid, I don't know his name, Jake, he's like the 5-year-old, 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jake physically sees Candyman burning in the
Yes.
pile,
Uh-huh.
which means he can see Candyman.
Yes, which again, I think because he took physical form, he could
But
see him.
But when he took physical form before,
I think it has to do. I think people of his congregation can see him.
unless it was to give. Oh, that would make sense.
Yes,
Or like
because
it keeps the image alive in the kid's head of what
yes, of what he is.
Candyman was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing too. I think was an impactful moment was the fact that Helen, the reason why she fights to get the kid out even more is because as the fire's going, she can see through like a hole in the rubble, like the mom, and she's just there like dead face, like she has nothing else to live for. Like she even stated at the beginning, like this is like my whole life is this child,
Right.
and the fact that she has no closure of whether he's alive or dead, and the fact that she has nobody else. Like the dog's gone, the child's gone, she's by herself.
similar thing.
Yeah, she's in mourning. So I think that just fuels the idea that like to Helen, she needs to save this child. Like that's like her very last thing she
It's
needs to
also
do.
her redemption.
Her redemption, yes,
Which,
because
in a weird, twisted way, because she saves the child and is redeemed, it plays into this like, well, then the other murders weren't her. Like in this weird backwards way, she kind of confirms the myth of Candyman.
she does.
But, like,
yes.
why would she save the kid if she did all these other things? Like, you know what I mean?
Right, I think. Well, and I think because then they go to the one of the final shots, which I think is really cool.
Which if Candyman burned physically here, but then he comes back, I don't know. I don't
yeah, and
understand
this is the So essentially, okay. So she comes out like Mito said, she gets hit by the flaming log, like every movie, right? It's like a big thing, and she like almost looks like she's not gonna make it, but she catches on fire, and she eventually bear crawls out, gets the baby, and like one of the final shots there is her like handing the kid over, and the people putting her out
with her burned head.
Yeah, and and she gets it, and they realize pretty quickly it's a baby, and then she succumbs to her wounds and passes out, and I think dies on spot.
Right,
Yeah.
she does on spot.
What ends up happening is I think this is they end there, and I want to say what's funny you mentioned that he also like Candyman. This is the only other shot I don't like. He like 90s like on fire Mortal Kombat like final boss gets destroyed. He like and he like blows up, and all these bees are on fire, flaming bees, which I think probably confirms to the people even more. Which I would have freaked out myself. Like, oh no, flaming bees, that's crazy work. But yeah, he like blows up in the middle of it.
Which maybe this was his plan the whole time.
Maybe, I don't know.
What? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't the end of Hellraiser have a very similar thing? They put the lament box in a bonfire, and the homeless man like walks in and like basically gets it, turns into a dragon, and like flies away. Wasn't it that one?
I don't know.
Yes.
Which one?
Wasn't it the first one?
Bro, he just
There's
spoiled
one-
Hellraiser for me. If there's no dragon, I'm gonna be mad.
I don't.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
she tries to like they get rid of it, but like I think that's how it like ends up in like the Middle East or something. Because remember, I think in the second one they like some guy finds it in a. Hold on, I'm gonna look that up.
I gotta watch these movies.
All right, continue, finish it. I gotta look it up.
So then we cut to Helen's funeral, where it's Trevor and his girlfriend Stacy.
They're literally like doing PDA at his funeral, bro.
And then the crowd from Capita Green shows up to pay their respects. Jake drops the Candyman hook into the grave on top of Helen's casket. And then we cut again. We're a little bit in the future where Trevor's regretting his decisions about cheating on his wife.
Finally having a breakdown.
Yeah, in the restroom he's crying, and then he basically plays the Candyman game, but instead he says Helen. Helen 5 times.
What the fuck?
It's like, Clive Baker, man. He's like, there
Which
needs
one
to be
is that?
the first one. There needs to be a fire, and there needs to be a dragon.
That's.
I thought that was wild.
I had to
It was a winged creature, but I thought it was a dragon.
I had to rewatch it then. So then, drop the hook to pay respects. Cut to Trevor. Okay. So then we cut to Trevor. He does Helen.
They didn't show
5
Helen
times.
in the casket, which I thought was wild too.
Yeah.
That was interesting that they made that choice.
Trevor's having a breakdown.
He's having a breakdown.
Stacy's being like basically calling him, getting a little annoyed because he's hiding in the
Come
bathroom.
eat a salad with me.
Yeah. Well, she's immature, right?
She's
That's
also
the big
like
thing.
Yeah, she's
Doesn't it
she's
also-
most likely under the age of 25, which means her brain isn't fully developed.
It also does a quick flashback, I think, to like
Yeah, it does
Helen
do-
cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah,
like,
so,
'cause
like-
he's really going through it.
Yeah, so I think this is a point where he's now regretting, right, everything that he's done up to
He's
this
a new
point.
victim, bro.
Yeah, well, he's like, because he was a terrible person, let's be honest. He was like an awful person the entire movie. And so essentially, yeah, he like is having his mental breakdown, and then he just starts saying Helen, Helen, and then he's looking
Turns
in the
off the
mirror.
lights.
Yeah, he says it in the mirror a couple more times, and then
She appears.
She appears.
Wow.
With the bald head, bro.
The bald head, and then she basically murders
But she's
him.
like, yeah, you seem like you're seeing something scary, or you seem like you're
Yeah.
scared of
Yeah.
something.
She murders him, and then Stacy runs into the restroom holding a knife, so incriminating evidence.
Yeah.
She does use the hook that was thrown into her casket as the
Yes,
weapon. That's
she
a
does.
good
I
point
didn't
there.
click until this moment that
Yeah.
like that throwing the hook is a big deal.
And then we cut back to the abandoned apartment where we see a mural of Helen,
Helen.
and she's like a phoenix, right? Being reborn
Born
from the
into
flames.
fire, which again, I thought that was really cool, and I think that in two ways. One, it goes back to what Candyman said of like we're gonna our story's gonna be legendary and all this and that. And again, I can't tell if these murals are somebody that is actually alive that is doing this, or if it's a supernatural thing and
It's
they're just
him, he's
placing
an
it.
artist.
But actually, yeah,
It
what, you're
never
right.
clicked.
That's
Yeah,
like,
and so you can see it in both ways, right? You can see it one as her being a savior, like she saved this child, but also victim to. So yeah, I think kind of having that like, she was also a victim of a fire similar to him, which again, it's like there's so many layers that I think that's what makes this movie kind of great.
And it confirms like in the sense that she's now become a folklore, at least to this guy specifically. Which is interesting because I had made the assumption until right now when I looked it up that she was in the other two and she's not. So I don't really know. I don't know. The other two have bad reviews.
The second one
But I want to
goes
know how
more.
they continue
The second
story.
one goes more into like his backstory. I honestly, it's been a long time since I've watched them. I don't even remember 3. 2 I loosely remember.
Yeah.
But I think 1's one of those ones. It stands the test of time, and it's one of the better ones. Like most of Clive Baker's movies, if it goes past the first movie, they usually just
Which I've never seen Hellraiser, so I'm gonna put myself out there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you're gonna be. Again, here, spoiler alert, very similar. You're only going to see the Cinebites for like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's very, very Clive Baker-ish that you're not going to see the antagonist very much.
But yeah, this movie also it plays into like with the whole mirror stuff. Essentially, that Candyman is like the opposite of what he was when he was alive. Like he's this reflection of all the negative in society.
Yes.
When he was alive, he was a good person, and now this like reincarnated version of him.
Well, it's like, what is it? Like the idea that, when your life ends in a like gruesome, traumatic fashion, your soul is not unrested, but like it can't rest. It's in a constant state of like, chaos. Like it's not able to really rest easy. So that's where I think that comes in. I think you make a really good point. I never thought about it that way, but I mean, you're right that like it's essentially a reflection of what people saw him as, right?
Yeah.
And vengeance, right? It's like the soul taking vengeance.
Which in a way, like this is how he's remembered. Like I don't want to say because obviously like Candyman in this movie does bad things, but just by being a folklore alone, like his congregation, so to say, doesn't necessarily view him as like a villain. Like he is just he's an iconic. Like he's just.
Well, I mean, some people do.
Like they
people
fear him, but like
yeah.
It's like the Freddy Krueger thing, where like obviously you're feared, but what's more important is that you're remembered.
Right. And I think one thing in a video that I saw, which also I think kind of the more you deep dive into is kind of crazy, is like maybe to the kid and some of those other people, they knew Candyman maybe not as that supernatural being, but as that drug dealer, the one that was doing that. So the fact that they always feared him and the fact that they always felt that way was not anything supernatural, but something physically real to them. There was somebody that was causing those disruptions in their society and their life, and like the fact that even once he was gone, that it started rehappening or stuff started happening still kind of started putting into their minds more that this is more than maybe just something that is an actual real present thing that's happening. So there's like it's just like so many layers of like this movie, which is great. I think that's why it's written so well, directed well, acting well. Like it's crazy that
And like in my mind, so this is gonna be a really hot take.
Yeah.
I don't think most classic horror movies hold up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think to give you an example, I don't think the original Halloween holds up at all.
Oh
yeah.
He's about to tell me this is better than the original Halloween.
It is.
Don't do it. No.
I think that this movie is deserves its spot as one of the main classic.
Yeah. It's a top one.
Which again, right, regardless of, I don't think any of us, Adam gave it a 9. I don't think any of us think it's a perfect movie. But again, even, I'm not saying it's better or worse, but even, the Halloweens or, Friday the 13th, Nightmare, the amount of those movies that are actually, 10 out of 10s is probably none of them.
I don't think any Friday the 13th.
Any of the, what's considered classic horror is more so about, their impact or their context in, history. And I will agree, this is probably one of the movies that has held up better. I'm watching it for the first time, 33 years after it was done, 34 years, and it's still very good.
Yeah.
Good. It's just one of those things where it's a moment in time. It's more important than just the the quality of the final product. There's so much more important than.
But not to say that the quality of the product wasn't bad either. I think the times they used the gore and some of those things, they saved it for key moments.
Right. And
somebody had pointed out he only had 2 moments where he actually took out somebody. He took out the doctor and he took out Bernadette. That was it. Technically, I guess you could say the dog, but 2 on screen or 2 actual kills. That's probably one of the least amount in a horror movie. Next to I think somebody else said some other ones Psycho was only 2 and some other ones. But think about how many horror icons and how many times they've taken out somebody and what their count is in a movie compared to this one.
Which I think this movie,
which is crazy.
In a weird sense, is kind of, I guess, I know a lot of people consider it a cult classic, but it's kind of overlooked. It's thrown to the side. You're saying, comparing it to something like a Halloween, this movie, honestly, probably, the characters, the context, everything that's happening in the story is probably a lot more impactful and, important. It's more, you're more connected to it. Yet when you list, when you give a Mount Rushmore, I don't think Candyman is in a lot of people's, even though
I think it should be.
It probably should be.
It is. I think,
especially in horror, I know a lot of them wear outfits, but I'm pretty sure this is one of
the only iconic,
if not the only black slasher. I feel that plays into part of it being left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
I will say, I think part of it too is you're talking about how many of these other Mount Rushmore ones and how extensive they've gone into them with how many movies. This one has only had 3 iterations plus the reboot that is the sequel, right? And the one from 2022. So, realistically, they haven't expanded on it a whole lot, but I don't think they've needed to. I think that was the point. They didn't do too much with this story in this movie because they didn't need to. The first movie really did it justice. The second movie tried to do exactly what the second one and the third one of Hellraiser tried to do, which is expand more on the lore of the person themselves. But I think sometimes you open yourself up to a lot of moments because sometimes we don't want to know all the minute details of that, which kind of worries me for a Terrifier 4 where that's going to be a big thing. It's sometimes we don't want that. We don't necessarily need that.
Sometimes more is not a good thing.
Yeah. So to piggyback off of what you're saying, but Hellraiser is the perfect example. The first 2 movies are great, and you could stop after that. You don't have to watch the other 10.
So you're saying Puppet Master?
Yeah.
Oh, except the first 3.
Except the reboot that they had of Hellraiser, was it a few years ago?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Or something. That one was really good. Anyways, I think in the third one, it's either the third or the fourth one, but they now go into Pinhead's lore, and it was the worst decision in my opinion.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. But I think, we don't get the Mount Rushmore of a lot of these things because you just don't actually, it's hard to, I guess, really state it with the idea that there was really only a few of those movies compared to Scream and something Scream's what, a 90s movie, right? That's, technically that I think grossed way more than this one. This one was on a $10 million budget and I think it got 50. So, in 90 standards, I don't know how how good that was. I mean, that's pretty good to me. I wish I got $50 million. Let's see. I had it right here. Let me see. I had it. I swear. Where did it go? Budget was $6 million estimated. It grossed 25 million, almost 26 worldwide. Which
in the 90s.
In the 90s, compared to Scream, which was, I think...
Scream hasn't grossed a lot. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the new one's going to set the record for the franchise, and it's only going to touch like 200 million.
Let's see. This one was... Budget was 15 million, and let's see. I didn't actually put gross. What did it actually gross? I had to imagine it's more than that.
That might be the highest grossing.
Yeah, this one was 173
which
million.
for the time is a lot, but which horror in general doesn't usually crack.
Yeah,
a lot.
and you know what's crazy? That one opened to a slow weekend of 6.3 million. That's crazy. And strong word of mouth led to an impressive run, with the film grossing over 103 million domestically, but worldwide 173.
Which I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I don't know how it holds.
So
up
I think
now,
I think that's why it gets overshadowed, because of stuff like that. Whereas this one, I think, I don't know, I can't remember what else came out in the early 90s. I think there might have been a little bit of a decline. I really wish I knew more about the history.
Which I think is what makes it like a cult classic as opposed to
because it might have been in that is dirge the right word?
I'm pretty sure this was the same.
There's like a dead time of horror movies where it's like, that might be okay, but like you have a really good one, but maybe people don't give it as much of a chance, and then you have something like Scream that does terribly in its opening weekend, and then people are hyping it up, and then a bunch of people go watch it.
Which I'm pretty sure 92 is the same year as like Army of Darkness, so.
Wasn't that gross?
I'm pretty sure it mentioned that the director for this movie makes an appearance in Army of Darkness.
I mean, Ted Raimi's in it.
So I guess that was like the trade-off, which, again, also just this movie in general, I think it's important to understand just like the whole Tony Todd thing. Like, man is an icon, deserves all the respect he gets, probably way more than he's been given. Yeah. And I read that like the first choice, the rumor is that the first choice for this movie was Eddie Murphy.
The urban legend.
And let me tell you what, we would not be talking about this movie.
Yeah, that'd be no
Eddie
way.
Murphy, Haunted Mansion style. Like, yeah, Tony Todd.
Donkey.
Yeah. Tony Todd carried, which is to say, like, a lot of the actors and actresses are great, but I mean, like, without him in that role, I don't think it would be as iconic as it is. Yeah. And it's just, deserves more respect, probably.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Candyman. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. We really appreciate it. The next movie we're going to be covering is going to be Undertone.
Is that A24?
I think it's
some weird...
It's either A24 or Neon. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
So it's either the company Adam liked or the one he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to determine my rating before I even go in.
So we're going to go ahead and cover Undertone in the next one. But until then, y'all have a good day.